Okie dokie. We are back for the perhaps penultimate, if not end episode of We Are One, You Are Two, a PlayStation podcast. This is episode 125. I am your host, Rob Fanzo, joined by, he is laughing randomly for no reason at the moment, Matt Rhodes. How are you?
Hey-o, how you doing? You say randomly, but my laughter is only as random as your openings lately. Okie dokie just like got to me. I don't know. I feel like they've been so I feel like they've been so random lately that
I know I
don't know how to react without laughing. Hey Ro, how you doing, Rob?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Good. Well, let me explain what I meant by that, of course.
Sure.
So, Matt, I've made kind of an executive decision, but I've also talked to you about it. I've talked to our audio guru.
I haven't heard anything, so it clearly was an executive decision.
Yes. So what I think I'd like to ultimately do, and I think what will help our audience out the best and help us out the best, is you and I have talked about, and I had talked about taking a brief hiatus, and that's more so because I'm switching jobs. I've got a newborn. I've got a lot going on. And so it's only a temporary hiatus. But I've also found that I think as we move through the show and it evolves and it develops, that I want to shorten the name, something a little bit shorter, sweeter, and more representative of what you and I are. I also have decided that I want to reformat the show and kind of get away from the news, because I've started to realize that a lot of podcasts do news and I want something a little bit different. So we're going to shift the focus of our show a little bit too. And because of all of that, I just thought it would be nice to actually rebrand and re-energize the show in a different way. But I need some time and some conversations with you and Dave and some other people to do that. And so, I've got plenty of ideas and we're going to be moving in that direction. I decided that means also maybe shedding what we have been or what we are. And so what I've decided I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and rebrand, remove, reformat a little bit, still have the same quality personalities that we have, just focus on a slightly different direction to be a little bit more topic and dive a little bit deeper into some of the conversations we had, because we moved away from that and more into the news. So today's kind of going to be a little sample of that and move in a different direction. But that doesn't mean we're going away completely. It just means we're changing things up. What I'm going to do to help people out is, since this is out of nowhere for a lot of people, I'm actually going to post the first episode when we rebrand on this same feed. So you will not lose. This will not be the last technical episode on our feed if you listen to us through Spotify or Google Play or wherever you listen to us. But what I am going to do after that is I'm going to alter our Patreon for our patrons. I'm going to alter everything else that we do. And we're going to move on to a new feed as a new show, because it is going to be a new format, new name. So why not just make it a quote unquote new show? And we're going to go ahead and start a new feed, but I will give all that information in our first episode of under the new format. And I will post it on this feed as well as the new feed, so that you don't get lost and lose us. Does that make sense?
Kind of like a "we moved" sign, if you will.
Yes, with explicit directions on where exactly we moved, so you could come visit us.
Exactly.
So,
also,
we will have all that information.
Well, that's good. I'm glad that we'll have the information next week for people. I will say, or maybe not next week, whenever we return. I will say a few to the fact that that you're keeping me. I thought maybe maybe the rebranding would include me getting a little kickaroo, you know what I mean, and the behind. But it's nice to see that I still have I guess job is the proper term.
Sure.
But I don't know if is it a job if you're doing what you love and not getting paid for it? I don't know.
True, which means I can't technically fire you, because I could fire you and Dave and Rob. Right. And then what I could do is get you all back together so that we could say we're bringing the boys back together.
Oh, right. Yeah. The boys are back in town.
Yeah. So I could technically do that.
Right.
So maybe I will just fire all of us, me, Rob, you, and Dave, and then say, you know what, guys, let's get back together for a reunion. And then we can have some sort of like reunion tour, I'll wait a week to do it.
125 episodes reunion tour.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll do just as many episodes.
Yes. All right. Because I still love doing this, Matt. I know it's tough with everything you and I both have going on for different reasons. And so I want to step back and do something that's still manageable for us without me having to spend 45 hours. And I'm joking, of course, with the number there, gathering the news every week and putting it into the document and searching for information. So today's a little bit of sample of that. We're going to talk a little bit about the Avengers Beta and our impressions, as well as the news piece that ties along with it about Spider-Man's exclusivity. We're going to talk about Fall Guys, because you and I have both played that. And it's really big right now on PS Plus, so much that the servers are down almost every single day, at least once, because they've had something like 1.5 million players play it already in the first couple of days. And then we're going to go ahead and talk about, we'll talk about what we've been playing like we normally do, right? We'll cover that too. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was what do we want out of Rocksteady's Suicide Squad game that was confirmed, oddly enough, on Twitter, no big splash announcement just 2 days ago. So we'll talk about that too, because that's going to be revealed later this week at DC, what was it called? The DC Fandom. That's what it's called. DC Fandom. Fandom, they call it. I don't know.
Fandom. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Probably because it's going to take place in a bubble.
Probably an electronic bubble.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. First and foremost, though, what have we been playing? What have you been playing? Because I know I've been playing a ton, so I'll let you go first.
Well, thank you, Rob, because you know my list is always a short one.
Maybe,
yeah. I've been playing Rocket League and Fortnite, of course, as everyone knows. They know who I am to the core. So I've been grinding away at those two. I have also played Fall Guys, which was, we'll get into that later, but I played Fall Guys, and then I played the full beta of Avengers. And we'll get into that later as well. I'm trying to think if I played anything else. I played a little bit of Ghosts, not as much as I would have liked. I got like 30 minutes in maybe this week. That's it. Maybe a little bit more. And then I've been trying to platinum Last of Us 2, but it's not that it's hard per se, but to have to get
boring.
To have to get back to the second half of the game just to get like the last couple of things it's frustrating. It's frustrating. What have you been playing, Robert?
So I've been thinking about playing The Last of Us Part 2 to platinum it, but I haven't played it. Just been thinking about it. So that's important to know. But I've been playing the Avengers Beta. I actually want to finish it today. I'm not as clear as far as you. I also want to try the multiplayer component out today because I've heard good things about that. So I want to check that out. And we'll talk about my impressions on the beta with you here in a minute. I've played Fall Guys multiple times. I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima. I actually finished Act 1. And so if you've played any of that game and you looked at the map, you can tell there's like 3 islands, right? Or 3
technically
sections.
One island that broke it up into 3 sections, yeah.
3 sections, yeah. And I've realized that probably ties into the 3 acts that there probably are in the game. Well, Act 2 obviously unlocks the second part of the island. And it's starting to make me realize how big that game is, because I still haven't done everything on the first island. So I'm actually going to try and just slowly clean up as much as I can of the first island before going into Act 2 on the second island. But it's really pulling me in with the story. I'm really, really, really loving it. And so I'm hoping to just keep going with that.
Yeah.
And then I also I decided to pick up my Switch at night a lot because in my Vita, because I'm obviously up all hours of the night with my baby now. So I've been trying to finish Cosmic Star Heroine on Vita, which is really, really good. Old school RPG with a modern twist. I've been playing Kunai, which is I think I told you about that. It's the robot. You're like the tablet that has a katana and kunai that you can swing from the ceiling with.
Yeah.
And so I just got the machine or the SMGs in that game. And so you can also shoot the SMGs down as you're jumping through the air to like float across large gaps. So it's a really neat little Metroidvania. And then last but not least, of course, I started a roguelike game called West of Dead that has Ron Perlman as
as the narrator,
main character. Yeah, he's the narrator. And that's pretty cool too. I've really been enjoying that. So it's hard though. It's like really hard. It's disgustingly hard. So I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would be. But I think I just one of those things where you just need to quote unquote get good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think like you love games like that. So I'm assuming that you'll maybe get frustrated with it in the beginning, but I'm sure once you get the hang of it, you'll be like, oh, this game is so awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did make it to chapter 2 and died, so it sent me all the way back to chapter 1.
Ooh, mama.
Yeah, it's one of those games that you have to beat with one life all the way through. And that's a roguelike. I mean, that's how Enter the Gungeon is too. And so it's a little tough, but it's doable. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to rock it out. So that's all I've been playing. That's going to wrap it up for me. So, I guess in that regard, maybe we should go ahead then and do what we always do. And that is talk a little bit about a couple of topics today that are somewhat news related. So where do you want to start? You want to start with Fall Guys or you want to start with Avengers Beta? I'm going to let you pick.
Let's start with Avengers Beta.
All right. So to be clear, you finished the beta.
Correct. So yeah, they had a tie-in for with Fortnite. They had like Fortnite challenges you had to complete. So
right. And I knew that would appeal to you.
Right. Well, yeah, of course. So I completed all the steps that you have to complete to earn that. And what I'm assuming, because I believe that's what it said at the end, excuse me, was the fact that, yes, indeed, you've completed the beta. I think I can go back and play other things or like, replay some things. Because there was some aspect that I didn't really quite dive into. It looks like there's like multiplayer missions that change every day or something like that, or
correct,
or randomized or something like that. So I haven't gone into that aspect of it, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I really like it. I feel like, not knowing.
Yeah, what are the positives?
Yeah, I would say not knowing too much about it. I feel like overall I had I had a really good experience. I mean, I understand what you meant because you and I had talked a little bit before and you said that you felt like there were some characters that handled really well and some that weren't quite balanced enough. And I'm sure they'll make those tweaks. I can say from my experience, at least in the beginning, Iron Man was not great to handle.
No, and yeah, so that's my biggest issue with the beta at the moment is Iron Man was really rough.
However, having said that, wait until you get to the harm room missions and then you unlock more of his hand-to-hand combat and he's fine.
You know what though? So that's
the small snippet in like the beginning where you're just flying. Yeah, it's very frustrating and but honestly, the first harm thing that you do is a harm tutorial as Iron Man. So you learn actually how to play as him specifically. And then once you do, you're like, okay, I get it now. And he seems more balanced because of that.
Okay.
So, okay. I mean, obviously I would assume that that's the person you were talking about was Iron Man not being super balanced, correct?
That was one of them. Yeah. So let's go ahead and parse through some of this. What did you enjoyed playing each one of the characters? What did you think of that opening sequence?
Yeah, I thought the opening sequence was great. I made the mistake of not letting the whole game load. So I was super frustrated and confused about what was going on because the sequence played and then all of a sudden a cutscene played and then all of a sudden an error message came up say like, you need to load the rest of the game. I was like, I didn't really quite understand that. So I dismissed it. And then it would replay that same scene over again. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Why is this? It's like stuck in this like frozen loop. Here, I didn't realize that the whole game hadn't downloaded to my system yet. So I had to exit out of the game, wait for it to download. Well, I played something else while the rest of that game actually downloaded and then continue to play through the beta. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I liked the missions. I obviously love the voice acting because, obviously it's freaking Baker and Nolan North. And
I didn't even pay attention to that.
Oh, yeah. So, well, probably because you hadn't got there. Once Hulk turns back into Dr. Banner, that's Troy Baker.
Okay. And I had gotten to him being Banner.
And Iron Man is played by Nolan North. I also pick up very quickly on that stuff. So then I also look up what's going on IMDb. And then also the girl who plays Black Widow was Abby in Last of Us 2. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, they clearly have voice talent, and I think maybe that's an on purpose thing, especially because, because obviously remember when they released that first demo of everything, or like, when they showed the first demo of it, there was all that gripe about, oh, they don't look the same. And, these characters were built on the basis of like all these, famous people, and obviously they're not going to be able to use those likenesses. So I think they did a smart smart thing by getting well-known voice actors to play these parts to help make up for that, if that makes sense. But
now, what did you? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, but going through everything, you know, I had kind of briefly read an article about like, oh, we figured out what kind of game Avengers is going to be, and I didn't read too much into it, but looking into everything and how it's going, it looks like it's going to be Destiny, but with Avengers.
Yeah. Now, do you feel like you get more Destiny vibes or more Anthem vibes from it? But I've also seen it compared to Anthem.
See, I mean, we've played the Anthem demo, and I don't feel like that was, I don't know. I feel like that was an experience in and of itself, but we didn't go forward past that. Whereas Destiny, I feel like was more of a realized thing. I don't know. It could end up being like both, where like, you know, not that it didn't do well in the beginning, but like people were still a little bit disappointed by them, right? So maybe as things develop more, it'll catch up to what it should be, if that makes sense.
It does. Now,
not that I think it's bad, but you know, I'm sure someone will gripe about it.
Yeah. So let me kind of add to that.
Yeah, of course.
I thought that opening sequence was really good. Even though we had seen it a million times, because that is the bridge sequence, right?
Correct. Yeah.
It felt nice to finally play it. I really enjoyed the way it switched between heroes to give you kind of a taste of like, okay, this is what you're going to be playing as. This is how these different heroes play. I also kind of appreciated that even though it didn't, some people may not have picked up on it right away, a lot of the control schemes for the heroes are similar. They do different things, but you can always press left 2 to aim with a character and right 2 to like fire, right?
Yeah,
so whether it's Hulk throwing something.
Yeah, whatever their range attack is.
Exactly. Square is always your light attack. Triangle's your heavy. You hold triangle and it does like a shield breaking attack. I'm trying to think of other buttons. Oh, L1 and R1 were mapped to, I think, like special moves or like charged moves.
Yeah, L1 and R1 are each their own special move. And then those together are even better special move. And then, O is dodge. That's pretty like basic controls. You know, square being light, triangle being heavy, O being, O being dodge and X being jump. You know what I mean? I feel like it's a very standard control set.
It is.
And it does have that same kind of Batman-esque feel where like you have to hold like towards the guy and at the same time to like jump over his shield or whatever, if he has a shield or whatever, to like open him up for a hit. You know, it has that same kind of like Arkham style to it, which is nice.
It lacks the tracking of Arkham.
Correct.
Like if I press square, I will just punch in the air. So in that way, it felt more like Ghost of Tsushima, where I had to like purposely aim towards that guy. Now there is R3 for lock on, but I found that I was beating enemies so fast, especially as Hulk,
right,
that it was useless to use lock on.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, the problem with a lock on is it doesn't automatically go to the next guy. It only locks onto that specific character, which is,
And for me, that was an issue.
Frustrating, yeah, for sure.
So I just went without it because I just couldn't take it. Now, what was funny about the control screen, the reason I brought that up is because at first it does feel daunting. You're like, okay, so Hulk does this with these buttons and Iron Man does this with these buttons. And if you just boil that all away and just remember that L2 and R2 are always the same, O, like you said, is always the same. It was weird. You would think that the game would just introduce and say, every hero has the same button scheme. They will just do things unique to that hero. Instead, the way they introduce you, it's almost like to do Thor's lightning strike, to do Hulk's smash. And it's like, well, but those are the same buttons. Just tell me that, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, sure.
So I thought that was a little weird, but that was a minor thing. Again, it felt like an Avengers movie, that opening sequence, which I thought was really good.
Yeah, definitely.
You are right. Iron Man was the biggest gripe I had in the beginning. And it's great to hear that his hand-to-hand combat, because I used his hand-to-hand combat on the ground during that opening sequence. And I was like, oh, he feels really good. I was like, but I want to be flying as Iron Man. And that's where it kind of fell apart a little bit for me.
Yeah.
And it might be because I also played Iron Man VR. And Iron Man VR feels so intuitive when you're aiming and shooting as Iron Man. This felt really wonky in comparison. And so that's probably what part of my issue was with him. I think he needs tweaked. My other issue was actually Hulk. But not Hulk completely. Hulk, when you're trying to smash shields and you have to hold triangle for that animation, his wind up is so long. I can't tell you how many times I got interrupted in a group of enemies trying to smash the shield guy.
Yeah, honestly, that's anyone.
Oh, is it? Because I only noticed it with Hulk.
Well, yeah. Like once you play through with other characters, you'll realize their animations to hold triangle to break a shield they're all that long, and it is. It's super frustrating.
Now, what difficulty were you playing it on?
Normal.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was just like one of those things where like, yeah, I like like it was I played as like Kamala Khan. I think that's her name, right? Kamala, yeah. Mm-hmm. As in the harm things, because she had the most like. It's funny because I played the first two harm things with Hulk, and then I realized he was a lower power than she was. So I played the third one. It was supposed to be like the toughest of the challenges, and it like seemed so much easier because she was like stronger of the two characters that I had unlocked. So,
that's a little weird.
Well, just because as you progress with her, you get more stuff for her, I think. Mm-hmm. Because you're playing with her and Hulk, I think you can just get more stuff to upgrade your like armor set or whatever, however they describe it. But yeah, no, I did like the harm challenges. I thought they were pretty intense. They're like 10 waves of enemies. Okay. So it does get pretty intense. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you'll see when you go through it, like everyone's animation for holding triangle is very slow.
And that was very frustrating to me. I think that's an easy fix though. You can patch that in and just reduce the animation time.
Yeah, exactly.
Because on normal, I was dying as Hulk when I first had running into those shield guys. It's like when you're in that river or that waterfall area and there's a bunch of them and then the guys are shooting at you from up above. And I was like, why do I feel like the weakest character playing as Hulk when I didn't have any issues with any other hero up to that point? So it's definitely, it's a learning curve, I think, but it's also frustrating because I think that if you're going to give me the opportunity to break shields, it needs to be just a smidge bit faster. That or the enemies need to not pile on me as much. I don't know. I mean, it's weird to be a superhero and be taken down as the Hulk multiple times, but
yeah. And that's the thing, like the limited knowledge I have about the Hulk, like I thought he always just like absorbed damage and got stronger and more angry, right? Like, so like, and I get it. It's a video game. You have to have some kind of like, you can't be like a godlike character, but at the same time, like, I don't know. Yeah, to feel like you're getting knocked down or killed so often. Because I died a lot as Hulk too. I was like, I just don't understand how I'm getting killed so much and so quickly as Hulk.
Now, I do think the loot will probably balance that out later because it upgrades you and strengthens you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I did want to ask you your opinion or your feelings about the loot, the idea of this being a loot-based game.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, we'll see how much more they go about it. But I don't know. I mean, I get it. That's an easy way for it to have microtransactions, but not be predatory, or not seem as predatory, because it's all cosmetic. Or at least as far as we know. Did you purchase anything yet? Because they do give you some credits so you can buy stuff from the store.
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm in the middle of that Kamala Hulk mission in the forest. I got into the laboratory and I think I was smashing generators or something goofy like that.
Yep.
And that was the last thing I left off on. And I thought, well, I'll get to it the next day. I'll get to it, on Sunday. Because like I said, I was just getting so frustrated with the way that Hulk was handling that. I was like, this is a joke. Like I cannot keep dying like this and expect to enjoy this game. It just seemed like it was stupid. I got the hang of it eventually. Don't get me wrong. I eventually figured out how to handle Hulk a little bit better. And I also upgraded his gear, which is why I asked you what you thought of the system, because it's great that makes him stronger and that has me more excited to play as him. But I'm also kind of disappointed that the gear doesn't actually show up on Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just like his body structure that kind of it goes into or whatever. I will say it was a little weird that I didn't quite understand the rage mode either. Like maybe I didn't
yes.
read it. Maybe I didn't read it and read it thoroughly enough, but I just didn't quite get like, I thought it was supposed to make me stronger, but like it didn't seem to. And I was like, I don't know what's happening.
You have to hold R2 for that, I think.
Well, yeah, you have to hold to activate it. Yes. But I just didn't know like what the benefit of that was.
The benefit of it was, and I can tell you someone who died repeatedly, is that when you get hit, or when you're hitting enemies and destroying them, you're actually regaining health. And so it does function as like a health regenerator.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so that's the nice thing is, I think you still take damage, but it's not as heavy. Because I was also a little confused by it. I think you do that, but you also have the ability to regain health. And so
interesting.
I was able to, as Hulk, a lot of times use that as like a last minute, like, oh crap, I'm about to die again. Let me go ahead and use this to regain some health. And so I would do that more often than not. And that's what I was actually saving it for. And that's when Hulk became a little bit easier to play as, because suddenly I was like, oh, okay. All right. You know, this makes more sense now.
Yeah.
So
I also noticed that, I mean, at least maybe this was just in the harm missions, but if you have, every once in a while, they'll be stunned and you can hit triangle and O at the same time as like a finisher.
Yes.
And then if you did a finisher, it gave you health back as well. At least that's what I noticed in the harm missions. I
was so busy mashing square and triangle that oftentimes when that popped up, I would have the enemy dead before I could press those two buttons together. Because I got into this rhythm of just like, let me mash the buttons.
Yeah, I did to a large extent. But some of like the bigger things that you fight in the harm missions, I mean, some of the animations are pretty cool to see happen for those finishers.
So I guess that's something that sounds like I have to get to the harm missions. And from my understanding too of all of this, it sounds like that the multiplayer component is, I mean, the campaign's there and it sounds like the campaign's great. It sounds like the multiplayer component is what they're banking on being fun because
100%.
You know, the idea of you, me, and like two other people, maybe that we know teaming up and playing as the actual Avengers.
Yeah.
And defeating enemies.
Right.
Is what I guess they're hoping will be the appeal. Whereas for me, a game like that, I love the idea of a single player campaign and being able to switch between the heroes and really enjoy a story like that. But that's also what frustrates me because I want it to be enjoyable and I don't know how much I necessarily care for the loot system in the single player portion.
Yeah.
I kind of want my heroes just to be, I'd actually rather have an upgrade tree. Yeah.
Well, the one thing that was frustrating for me was the fact that when you're playing, and obviously just based on the style, it is kind of that Destiny-esque, you know, mission structure. You couldn't switch between the two heroes.
Right.
I'm like, I want to. I'd rather not just play this whole mission as this person. I'd rather be able to switch between the two. You know, and
there would be something nice about that.
Yeah, and with the harm missions, you get like Black Widow, Iron Man. You get four people, but you can't switch between them. So you have to choose whoever you want, and then the others populate with you to help you out. Yeah, kind of like, what was that? Was that Batman Arkham City, where like when another computer controlled, AI controlled, I remember like Batman and Nightwing were on screen, or Batman and Catwoman. You could switch between the two, toggle between them. Right. And then eventually pair up to do like some super combos. Right. Yeah. Is that kind of what you were more hoping for then? 100%. Yes. Yeah, that would have been that would be pretty awesome. GTA 5, I guess, works the same way, except that's open world. So it's a little bit different. Yeah, I could see that. I would have liked that too. That would have been nice. That would have been, this feels like a missed opportunity. However, I'm okay with them. Like the bridge sequence felt like enough of switching, and even playing as Hulk, the fact that I'm assuming during that mission you switched to Kamala at some point too. Is that correct? Yeah. In the forest when you're looking for the archive. Yeah. Yeah. So you get to play as her a little bit. I'm totally cool with. I think the only thing, like I said, that is going to frustrate me is the loot, because I just don't, I don't know. I just don't really want, I don't want to have to constantly keep going into the pause menu during a single player action game to upgrade my loot. Now, if it's the multiplayer component and I'm getting that loot, kind of like the Division, right? I think the Division works differently. Like I didn't mind that in the Division. It made sense. Plus it was cosmetic.
I think that's probably actually my biggest issue is I don't mind if Hulk looks like he has all this goofy looking armor on there. That would be cool if I knew that those stats were working. And then what's it? The transmogrification, like they did in Assassin's Creed with an update where I could have the better armor, but I could make it look a certain way.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that either. So I don't know. I'm torn on that, I guess. The loot part bothers me a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I get that. And I understand why they didn't, because they want it to be more of a Destiny-esque and they want those cosmetics to be their source of income for microtransactions. Because I will say the Hulk that I bought is hilarious looking. And it's called Palm Springs Hulk or whatever. And he has like these like chino pants on, like this wife beater and like this like kind of like crazy looking hat. It's and like some chains. It looks hilarious. But yeah, so I can understand why they wouldn't be based on that.
Right.
And especially because they have like a bunch that's unlockable as well. So I would assume that, down the road, when you're looting for things, that will unlock cosmetic stuff like that, I'm sure. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. I think I get why they did it, but I understand as well, like why you're frustrated with it, with their choice.
Yeah. And again, overall, I actually think it's a decent game. It's got a little bit of jank to it that can be fixed with a patch, right? Some of the control stuff. But overall, I like it. I will tell you, it will not be a day one buy for me, though. I think this will be a wait for it on sale kind of thing for me, personally. What about you?
Yeah, I'm probably going to cancel my pre-order after we play a couple things together.
Yeah, I already canceled mine. So I canceled it right on Friday, right after I played it for a couple hours. I was like, okay, I'm liking this,
I wasn't sure if I could play it after the fact. That's why I didn't.
I don't know. I haven't tried since. We're going to find out. I will find out today, but I just assumed since I was already in it, they're not going to track down Amazon and ask them about my pre-order.
That's true.
So, but I mean, I think I did that with Destiny too. I think I still played Destiny's beta, which by the way, I have an issue with being called a beta because a beta is like something that's months down the road, the game releasing so you can fix stuff. This is more like a demo, but that's a different conversation for a different time. Well,
because there is the multiplayer aspect of it. That's what they're testing. They're testing the servers to make sure that they're able to handle stuff and,
Yeah, we call it a stress test then, or say like, this is a server test. I'd rather you call it a server test than a beta because a beta implies to me that you're not happy with something, then we've got months now to fix it instead of like 4 weeks.
I liked the Fallout 76 acronym. It was like the Break It Early Test Access or something like that.
Was that in the Warhammer thing or whatever? Or
no, with Fallout 76.
Oh, with Fallout 76. Yeah. Okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, I did enjoy that too.
It was BETA or whatever, but it was like stood for like Break It Early Test Assembly or whatever it was. You know what I mean? So, and it was broken. So people did break it.
Broken.
People did break it early. So.
I hear really good things about that now, but that's getting off topic. But I do hear really good things about that now. So,
and that's also a topic for another day about these like games that like are released and then are actually good a year later. But again, topic for another day.
So, all right. Well, that concludes this beta conversation. We'll go back and revise it later. But yeah, as a whole, I'll wait to buy it. I'll still buy it, I think. I still want to play it. I just don't think, because I really would like to see the campaign through. I just don't think it'll be something that I do for months. I've got too much other stuff I want to play.
Right.
So, all right. Cool. So, speaking of games that just came out, I guess, and testing stuff out, Fall Guys. First, I think it's the first. I might be wrong, actually. I'd have to look. But it's one of the only other times, other than Rocket League, that a PlayStation Plus game has been brand new. And I wanted to get, you played it. I've played it multiple times. I wanted to get your reaction to it and your thoughts on it being a PS Plus game.
I was going to say, how brand new is it though? Maybe brand new.
It's been on PlayStation for a while. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Cause I was going to say that the day that I downloaded it, one of my PC gaming friends is like, "Oh dude, I'm so excited. I bought Fall Guys today." I was just like, oh, cool. I just got it for free today.
I think it was in beta, if I remember correctly.
That makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine that they would do like an early access kind of a thing, especially on PC. But yeah, I dragged my feet a little bit playing it, or, starting it up. I was like, I got other stuff to do. Like, how much am I going to really like this? And oh my God, it's such silly fun. It's frustrating. It's annoying. But it is so ridiculously silly and fun that it kind of makes up for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's this weird take on Battle Royale.
Yeah, it's a smart take on Battle Royale because it really asks you to do a mix of team and individual stuff. And what I like about it is it's one of those ones that if I make it to the third round, or even if I make it to the final round, which I think I did maybe one time, I don't get frustrated when I lose. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. I can't believe this just happened.
Right. I
laugh it off.
Yeah. I will say that the team aspect is frustrating mainly because, like, if it's a Battle Royale thing, like, and everyone's individual and then all of a sudden we're being thrown into teams, that's kind of shitty. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, and I think it just depends on when you get the team one, because sometimes you get them for the first round and it's like, oh, this is great because somebody's going to get eliminated. Or like me, it stopped me from going to the final round 2 or 3 times because we were on teams, but it was like teams of 4. And it's like, oh no, if those other 2 of those 4 players stink or don't know what they're doing or don't care, then all of a sudden you're definitely out of that last round.
Yeah. That's the thing. I think every time a team game's happened for me, it's been like the second round. So there's been enough people, but at the same time, it's still super frustrating. Like, right. Yeah, I don't know. But, I get that to a certain extent or as to why they might do that. But yeah, I don't know. Overall, it's still hilarious, frustrating, and silly game.
Yeah. And I think making it PS Plus was a really smart move because, like Rocket League, it automatically populates the servers. And I know there was a lot of frustration over the weekend because the servers are down. It seems like once a day, every day. But they're also down because you've got this team this is their biggest game easily to date that they've made. And they did not expect, I saw on Twitter, they announced something like 1.5 million people in the first 3 days had populated the servers since PS Plus. And they had not prepared for that. They had it ready for a couple 100,000 at best.
Yeah.
So, but they've been real quick about it. I'm sure there are a lot of sleepless nights over there, trying to get those servers up and going. But
yeah, well, I mean, also, how does that affect the business? You have to imagine that, all of a sudden you're getting 1.2 million people. That's more funding that you can get. Or, I wonder if Sony has a thing where, a dev gets a cut based on how many downloads happen.
Well, no, my understanding of the PS Plus stuff is that they get a lump sum up front. And so that's why some devs choose to do it. I think for Fall Guys, the reason that's smart, just like Rocket League, is because I don't know. It looked like a fun game. I don't know if I would have paid $20 for it. But I know that because I didn't pay $20 for it like Rocket League, I will probably buy some of the cosmetics.
Right, exactly.
I could see myself buying some of those cosmetics and screwing around with those.
Yeah, that's the thing about free-to-play games. They have to have a good aspect or a good theme or a good kind of gotcha thing to pull you in. And then once they do, it's it doesn't matter that it's free. You're most likely going to spend money on it, right?
Yes.
Realistically.
Yeah, because why wouldn't you?
Right. Yeah, you're spending your time on it. Why wouldn't you want to look sillier or, have a fun costume for your guy?
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it from what I've played of it. So I hope to get more into it. The problem is the last couple of times I've tried to play it, the servers have been down. And, I forgive that. I have plenty of other stuff to play, but it's definitely one that I can see Rocket League picking up and playing.
Oh my gosh. Could you imagine an esports version of that game, of that?
I mean, I would love it.
Oh, 100%. It'd be so ridiculous.
Yeah, it would be. It would be fun. So
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, any other thoughts on that game? Is it something you see? Let me ask you this: is it something you see long-term playing? You playing long-term, or is it something you'll probably just play for a bit and give up? Or do you see yourself going back to this for months here and there, kind of like you do with Rocket League?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not here and there with Rocket League, but
yeah, it's true.
But I will say that, yeah, I feel like it's going to be that kind of a game where, like, if I have like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, and I just want to play something dumb and fun and like not really have to think, I'm like, oh, sweet. Yeah, let me just jump into Fall Guys, play a couple matches or couple rounds and see how far I can go.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you have PlayStation Plus, absolutely download it. It's free. Why wouldn't you? It's so fun. It's so silly. It's a little frustrating, but I mean, ultimately you'll love it. It's just like these floppy guys, like these floppy weeble wobbles that actually fall down. And it's ridiculous.
Yeah. And it reminds me a lot of Gang Beasts. I don't know if you ever played Gang Beasts.
I have not.
Okay. But like it was, you're in an arena. There's four of you and you're trying to throw each other off the building or jump off, throw each other off the different environments, and they wobble around and they're real hard to control. And so I get that same vibe from this. It's like a mix of that along with that Japanese game show where they have all the ridiculous mini games that people experience. And so, yeah, it's definitely something I will come back to over and over and over again. I have no problem playing this over and over again. And it is a nice thing that all you really need is like 10 minutes if you make it to the final round. If you lose in the first round, you can probably get like 2 or 3 matches in within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so probably one of the best offerings for PS Plus since Rocket League. And what I mean by that, as for like a new game, Yeah,
absolutely.
So totally worth it. All right. Any other thoughts on that then?
That's it.
Cool. Well, let's just wrap things up today. I thought what we could touch on is, we've got Avengers, which is, again, no knocks against it. It has some great things going for it. And we had Marvel Spider-Man 2 years ago, but I consider the king of video games in terms of comic book characters, Rocksteady, right? The Arkham series clearly, you and I talked about this off air. The Arkham series clearly has defined how combat in those types of games should work. You saw that in like Shadow of War and Shadow of Mordor. You see it in all the Arkham games. You saw it in Spider-Man. They have the Arkham Rocksteady games have defined the way that combat is done in these third-person action hero games. And they just announced on Twitter, we've been waiting for months years actually, to hear something from them. They just confirmed on Twitter with a short post that said, target locked DC fandom, August 22nd, #Suicide Squad game. And it had been leaked that it was called Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. The image, if you haven't seen it on Twitter, is a gentleman with a curly Q hair and lasers like tingling from his eyes, a cape and suit on, right? That looks pretty red and blue to me. So I'd like to pretend it's Superman. A gentleman, yes. Superman is a gentleman.
It's not clearly Superman.
I was building suspense.
Oh, okay. My bad. Sorry for laughing at your suspense.
Some people associated it with another potential character. But
who?
Let me look and see. I'd have to look at the comments. I completely blanked on who it was. I don't want to say Zod, but that might be it.
Get out of here, Zod. No, that can't be right.
No, I'll have to look and see. I want to say that they were speculating that it could also be Zod, but it's really clearly Superman. I think there's like no.
I think so too.
No doubt about it.
Yeah.
And if the leak is correct that was shared online, the idea was that Amanda Waller is upset with Batman and Batman's upset with her over some sort of project that one of them is developing. And so she sends the Suicide Squad after the Justice League. Now, I don't know if that's the synopsis for the actual game or what, but based on the fact that this game is a Suicide Squad game and it does look like Superman's there, it sounds like that might be the plot. I thought you and I could spend some time just kind of talking about, since it's been almost 4.5 years since we heard anything from Rocksteady, and we're going to see something August 22nd. I was wondering if there was anything in particular that we wanted from a Suicide Squad game. Because a lot of people are upset Suicide Squad and not a Superman game. But that goes back to what we were talking about with the Hulk. How do you make him vulnerable when he's basically indestructible? unless you have
exactly.
unless you have thugs carrying around and brutes, quote unquote, because I'm so tired of brutes carrying around kryptonite guns or something, or kryptonite fists.
Right. Yeah.
So, what do you want out of a Suicide Squad game?
Well, I told you before the podcast, my answer was going to be pretty short and sweet. Like, I just want it. I just want the game because I know it's Rocksteady and I know it's going to be good. But I kind of thought about, I thought a little bit about the game and while we were talking and like what I actually would want. And I read an article recently talking about The Last of Us and how we need to go back to black and white morality and how like all these games are blurring the lines of morality, and you want to feel bad for these characters because, you know, of the position they're in, but they're doing terrible things. So you're justifying those terrible actions because of that. Right. So I don't want any pathos for these characters. Suicide Squad is like a kind of a ragtag bad guy team, correct?
Correct.
So I don't want to have any pathos for them. I want them to be, if they're going to make this, I want them to be evil. I want them to be bad. I want to be hunting down the Justice League. And I want it to be a bad guy. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that, wanting to be a bad guy every once in a while. But I feel like as long as they have that, as long as it's more of like a black and white morality, I think that I will be okay with that. Because the problem is if they get wishy-washy with it, then it's like, well, do I really want to kill Superman, or do I really want to take down Superman or Batman or Aquaman? Like, no, realistically, I don't want to do that, right? Unless you're just like straight up being a bad guy and trying to take over as a bad guy. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't you the bad guy in Prototype?
Yes.
I never played those games, but weren't you considered the bad guy? You were like some failed experiment or something. And
100%.
You know, okay.
Yeah, and you're kind of considered the bad guy in oh God, what's the name now? No,
that was a joke.
Sucker Punch's Sucker Punch's big title.
You're not talking about Ghost of Tsushima.
No.
Infamous.
Thank you. Yes. Was that?
They gave you a choice. You could be the good or bad guy.
That's right.
You considered the bad guy because you were carrying the package that wiped out the city.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so you know, at least in the first one, you wiped out the city. And so the idea was you were going around trying to, you know, I don't know, redeem yourself in a way.
Yeah, but you could choose to redeem yourself or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
You could choose that path.
Right.
It was kind of a black and white path. It was whatever you chose to be.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I would like to just, I mean, if you're going to let me play the villain, don't make it an ambiguous villain. Make me just villainous. And I don't have to like the idea of killing the Justice League. And I think naturally anyone playing this game, hopefully, would be like, oh man, I really don't want to kill Batman and Superman and destroy these superheroes. I love these superheroes. You don't need to make me question whether or not, you know, I need to feel bad for the Suicide Squad. You should make me hate the Suicide Squad as I'm playing as them and just let me be the bad guy. You know, I don't know.
Or give me a reason to hate the Justice League.
Yes. Yeah, maybe, you know, kind of like that. What's that saying? Never meet your heroes.
Right, exactly.
And so maybe we could just deal with that, you know, where we are sorry that we're quote unquote meeting our heroes.
Well, what's that show on Amazon, The Boys?
Yes.
Where like the superheroes are like just assholes.
Yeah.
And really like, you know, like not really great people, even though they're taking care of, you know, quote unquote, taking care of the city.
Yeah. Yeah. I'd be okay with that and do something like that. You know, actually the plot of The Boys would be a perfect opportunity for that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, where the Justice League just comes off as like these horrible people and you're actually in some weird way, even though you're the villain taking down the good guys, you're actually the good guys.
Yeah.
You know, and also if you're going to make the Justice League kind of the villain that I'm taking down, please don't script it in such a way where we find out halfway through that they're brainwashed or being controlled or.
Oh my gosh, I'll be so mad.
You know, like let me
it's
go.
Such a
oh
cop
man,
out. It's such a cop out.
Yeah. So yeah, I think you're right. It would just be fun to be the villain and, you know, just let it be that. I'm okay with that. I don't need the ambiguous, feeling of like, oh, should I feel like you said, should I feel for the Suicide Squad? Should I feel like I should be kind of like Last of Us 2 made us,
Right.
we were so in the headspace of Ellie that we just wanted revenge that we never thought about the other characters, and they want us to think about the other characters and feel like we're supposed to like care for these characters. I get that, but
Yeah, it's okay to be the bad guy every once in a while. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, in fact, it's not really done that much. Is what I was going to say.
Yeah, I feel like there's games where they like kind of pull the rug out from under you, where like you think you're the good guy the whole time, but you've actually been the bad guy.
Spec Ops: The Line, right?
Oh my God, yeah, that was just so well done.
Yes.
Also, I think of like, that's like the major one that comes to mind, and the story was just so well written and so like mind trippy at the end. You're just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
But then, a little bit like Shadow of Colossus too, right? Like,
yeah, that was a little bit more ambiguous, but yeah,
it's a little bit more ambiguous. But I mean, you ultimately are like releasing this evil thing.
Yes. Yeah.
Unknowingly.
Exactly. And I'm not finished with Ghost of Tsushima, and I know that they're trying to make me feel for, this island. But clearly the way that I'm supposed to be honorable, they're tugging at this idea of, should you be doing this way? Should you be approaching it this way?
Yeah, that's going to be interesting too, to see how that ends up.
Yeah. But I hope but that's also what I like about it, because I don't actually feel that bad. I'm like, shut up. I'm saving the island. Shut up, Uncle Dad. I don't need you to tell me that.
Right.
Being a ghost is like being a thief. I want to be a ghost.
Yeah, right. If it's gonna save my country and save the island, what's wrong with that?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm doing this for you. You got locked up. How honorable was that? Or how's that working out for you? You're locked up. I'm coming to the castle to save your ass.
You sound like an angsty teenager right now. I know. It's so funny.
But it is true. It is one of those things, So, well, we'll see what happens.
We shall, yeah.
I'm excited to.
Is there anything like gameplay wise that you like really want?
Actually, kind of what we talked about with Avengers. I don't want it to be necessarily multiplayer focused. I feel like there's going to be a multiplayer focused arena area, and I feel like the narrative might be similar to Avengers, the way we're switching between characters. But I actually would prefer it if we could switch characters on the fly. Like if the whole Suicide Squad was there for most of the missions and you just press like L1 to switch between them, and the combat remains fluid, kind of like Arkham. And so based on the fact that they did that in a previous Arkham game, I feel like Rocksteady is going to give that to us again.
Yeah. Now, what I would love if they expand on that just a little bit and added like co-op play to it.
Okay.
Where like,
so like you and I go through the whole campaign.
Yeah, like you and I could go, like no matter what, there's at least two Suicide Squad members there, or even 4, or however many, that you can alternate between. But the games have done that before. I think like Marvel Alliance, like even if you play co-op, you can alternate between. Yes. You can alternate between all of the characters as long as it's not being taken over by whoever you're playing with. Yes,
that's correct. And so, yeah, I'm kind of taking the best of both worlds there.
Absolutely, because to play Suicide Squad with you, I think it would be amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'm excited about that. I really do hope if there is going to be a multiplayer, quote unquote, component, kind of like the Avengers.
Yeah.
Maybe this is where they give us the opportunity and really blow our minds to let us play against the Justice League, but also if there's a multiplayer component, let us play some of the members of the Justice League and just have like a battle type arena thing. I don't know.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be cool.
That would be cool.
Where like one team's the Justice League and one team's Suicide Squad.
Yeah. That would be kind of cool. And now I could see people then griping and saying, why don't you just make a Justice League game then? But narratively, I think Suicide Squad trying to take out superheroes is way more interesting, because while they are quote unquote superheroes in themselves, if you think about some of the members of Suicide Squad, they're not exactly invincible the way that Superman is. Right. So, I'm excited. We'll see what happens. It's supposed to tie into Gotham Knights, which is the WB Montreal game that we're going to be getting as well. So I'm even more excited if they show those trailers back to back, and we see one side of this coin where Batman, perhaps in Gotham Knights, this leads up to him creating whatever he's creating in Suicide Squad. And so we play as Batman up to that point. And then with Suicide Squad, he's gone too far.
That'd be kind of cool.
What a way to sell both games. Like
100%.
I mean, again, I'm fantasizing, but
I'm just bought into that fantasy. You just saying that. I'm like, all right, I'm going to buy both these games now.
But when they're clearly going to reveal both, the way that W. Montreal has been teasing this. The fact that Rocksteady has handed Montreal the Batman license, or, they're clearly working in tandem. And so let one trailer just bleed into the other with maybe like the pop-up in between saying Gotham Knights coming 2021 or 2020 or whatever. And then go right back into that same scene. I don't know. But then I guess people would gripe, well, I've missed out on, the story of, but come on, you aren't going to buy a Batman game. They've been so good. So,
I mean, I feel like that would get the people on board who were just like, I don't want just a Suicide Squad game. They would play the Batman game and then be like, oh, dang. Now I really want to play Suicide Squad to see how this concludes, basically.
Exactly.
If that's how they do it.
Right. So I'm glad you're feeling it the way I'm feeling it, because it's definitely something that I'm excited for. And, I wouldn't mind. I think that this will be, I'd be curious to see what we learn from this, because they have a chance of upstaging the Avengers, even though they're not coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
They have a chance to show what a game like this could be like. So we'll see. I don't know. Anything else you want to add to that?
Is it August 22nd yet? So we can really figure out what's going on?
I know. Soon enough. That's going to fly. That's going to come very soon.
I was about to say, less than 2 weeks away.
And I'm sure we'll find about the Harry Potter game at that time as well.
Yeah, the page of the screenshot of leaks that you sent me of like what they think that the fandom is gonna be announced. I was excited about all of those things.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like this fandom is going to be pretty rocking, if you ask me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll see what happens. August 22nd is right around the corner. By the time this podcast releases, it will be, about a week away, a little less or a little more, but we'll see what happens. All right, Matt. We usually do the drop at this point. And that's something that I love doing. Now, they have not been up for weeks. And as far as I can tell, it's still not up. So I'm not sure when we'll actually get games again. However, I know that this upcoming week on August 18th, Mortal Shell is coming out. And so I would encourage people to check that out if you are a Soulsborne player. Other than that, I don't think there's much coming out this week that I can think of. Or that I've seen.
I think you're forgetting the titular UFC 4 comes out on Friday.
Yes. My bad. How could I forget about UFC 4?
Yeah, I don't know how you could, Rob. But yeah, that's the only other title and that was just a random thing that I saw on my newsfeed.
I will add Hyperscape is coming finally to PlayStation, which is that free-to-play battle royale game from Ubisoft. That is coming as well. So if you are excited at all about Hyperscape and another battle royale game, that is also coming this week.
Cool.
All right, Matt. Well, it's been a pleasure doing this podcast with you. We'll be back in a different form.
Robert. We shall.
We'll be back in a different form with a little bit, more formats akin to what we did today with some twists in the middle. But
did you say akin? You mean akin?
Akin? Yeah. Listen, I'm sleep deprived. The stuff that comes out of my mouth lately doesn't make any sense.
You have baby brain. It's all right.
I do. I have sleep deprivation brain. So what did I say the other day that I just couldn't get over? I said something like, instead of saying getting something out of the microwave, I said, can you get something out of the vehicle for me? But it was clearly food related. And I realized how far gone I was.
Yeah, 100%.
Can't wait to start teaching again with that brain.
Right. Well, hopefully, like our podcast, a phoenix rising from the ashes. Hopefully, your brain will do the same, and we can start it fresh and anew in our new form.
Yes, we'll bring back some goodies. We'll change some oldies. We'll have some good stuff for everyone. I promise that. But we are going to disappear for just a little bit. And again, if you like what you hear and you want to keep in touch on all of that, head over to patreon.com/weare1you2. You can get up to date with everything that's going on over there. I'm going to work on the Patreon over there. I actually want to see how that might work in terms of our creation account and deal with that as well. But again, Matt, thanks for joining me. Share, like, subscribe. I promise that the next podcast you hear in here will be our new format, our new show, before moving over to a new feed. But we'll let you know where to go. And we may even fix it so that you don't have to worry about changing your feed. We'll see if I can pull that off. All right. That's all I've got, Matt. And until next time, game on.
Game on. Turn out the lights, the party's over. This is the last outro music for a while. We'll be back. I promise we'll be back.